Welcome back! In our last tutorial, we showed how to build a complex filter in an ad hoc contract data report. If you have not watched the first two videos, you probably want to view them first because this video builds on them. In this video, we will be learning how to create an intermediate level report that includes filtering, drilling, and sorting. To get the most out of this demo, we recommend that you sign in to sam.gov in another browser window and then follow along as we build the report. First, we'll start by going over the requirements for this report, and then we'll jump in and actually build it. For this report, we want to find the top 100 construction contracts by dollars obligated performed in Tennessee for fiscal year 2019. We want to see the contracting agency ID, the PID, the NAICS code, the NAICS description, and the principal place of performance state code. Then once we've run the report, the last thing we will do is drill to the contracting office ID and then sort by dollars obligated. So now that we have our requirements in mind, let's go to sam.gov. You should be pretty comfortable getting to the reporting tool by now. We start on the sam.gov homepage. Then we get to the tool for ad hoc analysis and reporting by clicking Data Bank, located in the header menu. Under Show Reports For, make sure Contract Data is selected, and under Report Type, select Ad Hoc. Now, select Award IDV Information Report. And that takes us into the reporting tool. As usual, we select Create, New Report, Blank Report to create a new report. The first thing we have to do is input our start and end dates for our report. We want data for fiscal year 2019, so we will enter 10/1/2018 as our start date and 9/30/2019 as our end date. As with our two other videos, we will not enter any dates for the other two prompts since they are not required. We can now click Edit in Design Mode to start building our report. Just like we did with the other two reports, let's start building the report by adding our attributes. To access the Attributes folder, we select Schema Objects, and then select the Attributes folder. As a quick reminder, we can either search for the attributes we need or select various folders to find the attributes we need. In this case, we know exactly which attributes we want from our requirements, so we can use the global search bar to find and add them to our report. Once we find the attribute we want, all we need to do is double-click it to add it to the report. Let's start with Contracting Agency ID, then add PID, then add NAICS code, then add NAICS description, and finally, Principal Place of Performance state code. Now that we have all of our attributes, let's add in our metric. Use the top panel to navigate to the Award IDV information, and this time select Public Objects to access the metrics folder. From there, all we need to do is double-click on dollars obligated, and we have our metric in the report. Now, let's take a look back at our requirements. We need to filter for three things. First, we need to filter for construction contracts. Second, we need to filter for contracts performed in the state of Tennessee. And third, we need to filter for the top 100 contracts by dollars obligated. Let's get to it. We'll begin with the first requirement, which is to filter for construction contracts. We will do that by navigating back to our Attributes folder. From there, we'll search for the NAICS code attribute and drag it to our filter panel. Quick reminder, don't double-click it, but drag it to the filter panel. The NAICS code for construction is 23. So let's set this filter to begins with and type in 23. Select Apply. For our next filter, we need to set the principal place of performance state code to Tennessee. We do that again by finding the attribute Principal Place of Performance State Code and dragging it into our filter panel. For this filter, we'll click on the Select Radio button rather than Qualify. This opens a selection panel for us. We only want the state of Tennessee, so we scroll down the list until we find TN. And in this case, as you can see, we need to go to the next page to find it. When we find it, select TN. Then we click on the single arrow pointing to the right to bring it into the selected panel, and then click Apply. And now we have one final filter to create. This one is based on a metric, so let's navigate back to our metrics folder by going to Award IDV information first, then selecting Public Objects, the Metrics folder, select Metrics again, and this time drag dollars obligated to the filter panel. We want the top 100 contracts, so select Highest from the drop-down menu, and then type in 100. Select Apply. Our report is looking good, so let's run it. We can do that by clicking Run Report. The icon is located at the top left corner of the page. And here is the report. We are almost done. We just have 2 more things to do. If you remember, our requirements asked us to drill into Contracting Agency ID. We do that by right-clicking on Contracting Agency ID, selecting Drill, and then Contracting Office ID. Notice how a second column next to Contracting Agency ID popped up. That's because we drilled into that column. Now the last thing we need to do is sort by dollars obligated, which we can do by right-clicking on the dollars obligated column, selecting Sort, and then in our case we'll choose Descending so we can see our biggest contracts at the top. And that's our report. Just to quickly review, in this video, we created a report and then filtered it both on attributes and metrics. Once we ran the report, we drilled into our Contracting Agency ID column so that we could see data at the Contracting Office ID level. And last, we sorted our report so that the most expensive contracts appeared at the top. Thank you for joining us for another video. For more information, please visit the contract data page linked from the sam.gov homepage. Remember, you can search the Federal Service Desk Knowledge Base for additional videos and frequently asked questions, or get help with technical issues at fsd.gov. To provide GSA feedback about features, functionalities, or about the user experience in sam.gov, click the feedback button located at the bottom of the site.